How to temporarily evade surveillance teams. Temporary evasion of surveillance teams by going to the forest at night. In order to gain some temporary relief from the stalking, the target can leave their phone at home so they have to be tracked manually. They can then, at night, travel towards the nearest forest/wooded area or cemetery and enter it, for example, in between surveillance cars passing them. The surveillance team will not know where they have gone and the whole mechanism of bite-sized stalking breaks down. Although most people will understandably be scared of the forest at night, this can become a regular occurrence for the target and the forest can become like a second home. It's the only time they can be in public without being stalked. They will come to realize there are very few humans in the forest at night and the animals are either up in the trees or, if on the ground, away from the trails. This is far from a long-term solution but can offer immense and necessary relief from the constant stalking. It can act as a pressure valve and allow the target to clear their head and relax. The immense relief experienced is due in part to the brain no longer continuously having to separate truth from fakery. The moon, the sky, the stars, the trees and the stream, are all real. If the forest is big enough they are likely to find lots of interesting hangout places in and around the forest that they never knew existed. The target can also leave the forest at a random time and place. When they do this, they will be temporarily free from the surveillance and can sample what it is like to walk through a street again without being stalked. It may be that they can get from 30 minutes up to a couple of hours before they are spotted and picked up by the surveillance team again. Carrying a torch. A torch is needed in the forest, particularly if there is little light from the moon. However, by using a torch normally, it might give away the target's position in the forest. A torch can be dimmed by shining it through a pocket downwards onto the trails. This amount of light is enough to light up the trails but will probably not be enough to give away the target's position. The torch can be hung from a trouser or bum bag belt to ensure it doesn't get lost. Health and safety. It is recommended to take adequate water, such as in a hydration bladder/rucksack, as many liters of fluid can be lost when hiking trails. If one is doubling up walking the trails as a weight loss/fitness program, it is advisable to also take seriously foot care so as not to develop blisters. Adhesive dressings can be placed on parts of the foot prone to blistering. Rotation of footwear to alter the pressure and friction on the foot can also help prevent blisters. Other safety concerns are low-hanging branches which can poke an individual in the eye or catch them on the eyelid, particularly if trying to be economical with the torch, slipping when the ground, and tree roots, are wet and being on a trail which is up high. Response of the surveillance team. Eventually, the surveillance team will figure out that the target is going into the forest. Once they do, they may send a scooter around the trails of the forest, or a group of walkers with a torch soon after the target enters the forest. They may also park cars with motion detectors, at the entrances, or set up other forms of motion detectors at these areas, so they get notified when an individual, and therefore probably the target, leaves from that location. Alternatives to the forest. If the target cannot get to a forest, they could instead find hiding places within a city. Simply by walking around at night they may find avenues which lead to various places that they can spend time in without being stalked. This can include car parks, playing fields, small wooded areas and stairwells. Spontaneity, creativity and unpredictability play a role here in avoiding the surveillance teams. Stone walls and stairwells are good temporary places to hide and they offer an obstacle to night vision and thermal cameras which might be being used by the surveillance team. Adding in a wait of 30 minutes, can make a surveillance team spend this time looking for the target and eventually giving up, which can help shake the surveillance team off. Walking through a new housing estate can also make it difficult for a surveillance team as their mapping system on their app is wrong. Of course, these measures may make the target look suspicious to other people, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of choice in terms of getting rid of the surveillance team in the short term. CCTV cameras. It is also necessary to become aware of where the publicly run CCTV cameras are located in the area. This may be publicly available information. If they travel past these publicly run CCTV cameras, they will be picked up again by the surveillance team.